Hello and welcome to the third episode of Unlearning. And here we are, Estrella, yours truly, and
Henry-Cameron.
There you go, musical.
In our brand new Unlearning Podcast Studio.
That is wonderful. I really, really like the new studio. It's very creative, and I think everyone would be very much interested in learning a little bit more about it.
Or unlearning, as the case
Well,
may be.
they're going to be unlearning old ways, because this is wonderfully replacing other less creative forms of communication. Did I say that right? I don't want to mention any names. Okay. So,
Estrella, this is it's been a while since we've done one, and so we're going to keep it short and sweet today because I know you've got to run and I've got things to do. We've got a big event happening in my tiny little Spanish village, and soon people are going to be running through the streets screaming with gunfire and cannons, and it's a reenactment. It's a reenactment of a very important battle in the independence of Spain against Napoleon. And it happened here on October 28th, 1811. And they call it La Sorpresa de Arroyo Molinos, the surprise of Arroyo Molinos. Not that Arroyo Molinos was surprised, but Napoleon's troops were surprised when they showed up here and started roughing people up and shooting people and horrible things. What they didn't know was that my cousin, seriously, my 12th cousin, General Rowland Hill of the British Army, devised a plan to head Napoleon's army off, head him off at the pass. And they got the villagers together. The women grabbed pitchforks and rifles, and the men got clubs and rifles and pitchforks, and the children were involved. And along with the British, the Portuguese, and the Scottish troops, they ran Napoleon's army out, and it was a victorious battle. They surrendered. Sorry, there's Animo saying, "Yay!"
That's all right. He's celebrating.
And so they commemorate this every year because this battle instigated the defeat of the French and the independence of Spain. So it's a big deal, and they do it every year. It's a huge reenactment. All the women of the village make authentic period costumes for themselves and for their husbands. And they have horses and cannons, and I mean, it's all throughout the town and in the outskirts too. So it's a big deal.
Well, it's really important to keep the history alive, because that is how we remember. History is really there to teach us. Whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, it serves a purpose. And I have seen videos that you have shared, and it is spectacular. It really is.
Very
and for
dramatic.
A tiny village, they really go all out.
They commit.
To celebrate. They are committed.
They're committed to their characters. It's their ancestors who fought this battle and won. Right. And a lot of people ask me if this is, do reenactments of battles, all these skirmishes out in the countryside with the cannons and the guns and the dying and everything else, does it glorify war? And I don't think it does. A reenactment, especially one like this, which is a total David and Goliath story, these simple country folk rising up against Napoleon's army and winning, that's a big deal. It's a lot like Mexican independence, which in America we celebrate as Cinco de Mayo, but a lot of people know it was actually a very small battle.
It was.
Mexico, and it's not Independence Day. It's a total different thing. It does definitely, it did lead to independence, but it's moreover, it's about the women here who were empowered to fight alongside their husbands and sons. And it was about rising up to defend your community when it's under threat.
And I am sure that many, many lives were lost and sacrificed in battle. So rather than remembering with sadness because of the lives lost. They are remembering with strength and how that village was unified as one to conquer the troops. So Napoleon's troops. So I think that it was really, I don't think that it glorifies war, any more than remembering our children that have transitioned or, moved on ahead of us.
Right.
Would that signify that we are glorifying death? Because we're not. It is a form of remembrance. And I think that people are remembering in different ways. Some, like the remembrances that we do at From Grief to Hope, we do have once a year, a very big one, but on a monthly basis, we do something so that the children and the parents that are celebrating that particular date, not celebrating it as a joyful moment, but remembering their child, can do so. Okay. So we here in the US, we are a country that relies on remembering. We remember our veterans. We remember what other, so many.
Revolutionary War.
Yes, Independence Day as well.
Yeah.
And Independence Day here is very, very huge. But I think that each culture has their way of remembering.
Yeah.
And I like what they do in Arroyo Molino, besides those outfits that you were talking about.
Yes.
I know who makes them.
Yes.
And she is amazing.
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 Work. The quality of craftsmanship that goes into this event every year. It could be, she could be a costumer at a main Broadway theater. She could costume Hamilton. Just brilliant. The attention to detail. And you know what's behind it, Estrella? It's the care. It's the heart. It's the pride of your community and your place to say, if we could conquer Napoleon, not him, but his army.
Well, indirectly, he was conquered. Okay.
We can do anything. And that's still cool. It's important to remember those things. And there is a lot of war in the world right now that we're watching.
Oh.
Feelings of anxiety and helplessness and hopelessness. And how do you navigate that? I think events like this can help us remember that even war is temporary.
Everything that we see and experience in this life, Henry, is temporary. Yeah. And I think we forget that. We forget that we are, let him sing. It's okay.
People walk, horse just
fly. Yeah, mine are locked in the bedroom because they're very hyper at the moment. Where was I going with this? I forgot where I was going with this. Help me.
Well, we were talking about, hopelessness.
Oh, yeah, everything is temporary. And I think we invest too much emotionally into things that are going to just pass away in one way or another. Okay.
But not
progress.
Not away. Away. Nothing ever passes completely away.
Well, now we're shifting to another topic. Yeah. And that is okay, because I do want to share my experience, because you haven't heard from me in a while, and I really appreciate you handling everything at From Grief to Hope, because I was unable to access the Facebook page.
Right.
So
is
it okay if we shift to this right now?
Yes, you were
okay, because I'm kind of going to touch on everything here. And the first thing I want to do is that I want to say something positive, all right? Because Facebook is free, isn't it? We don't pay for it unless we want to sponsor an ad or boost a post. So I want to thank Mark Zuckerberg for what he does, or what he has done, because he has brought people together that would have otherwise not been connected.
Right.
Okay. Granted, with every good, there's always another side.
Mhm.
But it's not necessarily the program. The system is how people choose
To
to
use it.
use it.
That's right.
So it's not that Facebook has the problem, it's that the ones that really need to take another look is how we are expressing ourselves
Right.
that can cause triggers in other people to respond in like manner. So that I would say is one of the hardest things to manage. Well, when I was locked out of Facebook, and Facebook didn't lock me out, by the way, um, the first 2 or 3 days, I was just focused on finding the solution because I am so used to doing things myself,
Right.
and some things that it's hard for me to stay away from that. And so finally I came to the point that I said, hey, there are things that I just cannot solve. And so when I really gave up the control is when I actually came to a site in the internet that said, are you having problems with this? Can you not log in? Blah, 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 blah. And so I accessed that and I came across two gentlemen who shall remain nameless, Peter and John, like the two disciples.
That's right. Not nameless. Yes, go ahead.
So anyway, they actually both intervened and they were working in the background, and I could see that they were accessing Facebook, not necessarily mine, although they did, but also the programming back there. They did a diagnostic and they showed me that someone had been trying to hack me about 65 times, and I'm thinking,
Oh,
what? Where is the value in hacking me? There isn't any. Okay. I could not understand that. But anyway, I accessed Facebook this morning because all of this happened yesterday.
mhm.
And I noticed that everything had been more organized because apparently there were things at Facebook that had remained undone, or maybe the program had gone haywire. I don't know what happened, but I know that I was able to upload my ID today, which I was not able to do any day the rest of the week.
Great.
So,
How on earth did you reach a human being at Facebook? Because I have, when I've had problems in the past or I can't figure something out, I can't find any human being that I can talk to.
it was what appeared to be a private business. Okay, that it appeared, and they're probably independent contractors contracted by Facebook. And the first question that the man asked me was, "Well, this is going to take about a couple of hours, and the cost is going to be $100. Are you willing to pay it?" Yes, yes, I am willing to pay it.
They charged you to fix?
No, no, I
Oh,
have not seen an invoice of any kind. Maybe that is something that they use to see, is the person really someone that appreciates what,
no, no,
what
no.
Facebook is doing. I don't know what it was. Okay.
You just Googled you
I
found
just
one?
Googled, how to solve the Galaxy A20, Samsung A20, Galaxy A20 error, because I read that there is an error somewhere that propagates, and there's some things that you can do when. Anyway, let me just say this. My poor phone is exhausted because I have added things, deleted things, turned things around when I really didn't need to probably do anything to it because it was all Facebook.
Well, Estrella, you know that my life's purpose and my specialty is universal life skills education and
Yes.
and technological literacy is a universal life skill, whether people like it or not, we have to start knowing the ins and outs. God forbid those guys were hackers.
Well, the thought.
Now they know how to get into your system. John and Paul and Ringo and whoever else.
The disciples is what I call them.
Oh.
Peter and John. But no, listen, the thought did come across, oh my gosh, what if? But then here is where I wanted to go with all of this, is that we really have to cleanse our minds and our hearts of thinking that anything has a possible negative side effect or outcome. Okay. And while some things do have a negative outcome, I really had to put myself in the position of trusting. I have to trust because I don't know what to do in this case. And when I put myself in that space, that is when things began to happen.
Interesting. And now it's resolved.
And well, in 48 hours, they're supposed to contact me. So at least, hey, it's a milestone to be able to upload an ID, right?
Keep an eye on your bank account.
Oh my gosh! Well, there's not much in there, so
not putting it out there. I'm not putting it out there. I'm not manifesting that for you.
No.
But trust is really important, and I've been talking a lot about that on my other podcast, the Lost Traveler podcast, that love is a frequency. It's the frequency.
It is a frequency.
The only frequency. And it's hard to believe that sometimes. But love requires an energy to move it between people, between countries, between companies. And that energy that moves love is trust. Trust cannot move. Trust is, love is my water bottle, my dog, and the toy he's trying to get out of my clunk. Yeah.
That was a good one.
There's a lot. I'll do a screenshot of that. There's a lot of people in the village right now, so he's like going crazy.
He's very hyper. Yeah.
He's hyper. But love is everything, but it cannot move without trust between people, between anything. And so I think that we are more powerful than we believe. And if we trust ourselves, we trust the process, we trust that everything, as hard as that is sometimes, especially in our world around parental grief, trust that everything is exactly as it's meant to be. Otherwise, it would be otherwise. It's a hard truth.
True.
But, I think that opens us up to all manner of possibilities and positive outcomes.
You have to agree with me when I say that some people and some situations are easier to trust than others. Okay. So in this case, it's not a matter of just allowing ourselves to mistrust. I think that we need to use discernment and we need to ask ourselves questions, because by asking ourselves questions and allowing our inner self or higher self to guide us in the proper answer increases our understanding and our ability to trust. Do you not think so?
This is ages-old wisdom. This is something that how often have we heard these wonderful phrases like, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is, right? If something comes, and I think that with a lot of the scamming that's going on and a lot of the hacking and everything else, with all these wonderful promises of something, if somebody is selling you snake oil and it sounds like a miracle, beware, have discernment, ask yourself questions, right?
Right.
So, I think, and you may be proven wrong, but trust your gut, trust your instinct. It's there for.
Well, I'd rather err on the side of caution.
Yes.
Okay. And rather than to jump both feet, it's better to just take a couple of steps back and allow this, whatever it is that is going through us at the time, to just cool down a bit so that we are not emotional when we address certain things. And okay, the things that are being advertised, oh my gosh, all kinds of miracle cures, anti-aging, anti-this. Listen, the mirror doesn't lie, okay? I can spend hundreds of dollars, and while it makes me feel good for a day or two, eventually I say, this ain't working.
That's why there are filters, honey. I mean,
I don't have any filters here. Do you?
No,
have
not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
But you look great. You look great.
Well, thank you. Likewise. Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about expectations, right?
Okay,
Because
very good.
that's tied to what we're talking about, that we have expectations that everything's going to turn out all right, or the way that we want them to, or the way that we've been told that they will, right? And again, that's part of unlearning, because many of our expectations are put upon us that we've inherited from our parents or our colleagues, or our grandparents. Even sometimes it's generational, sometimes it's cultural and religion, right? Teaches us a lot of, and it grooms us and programs us and conditions us to have expectations. If I do A, B, and C, the result will be D, E, and F.
Oh, well, those are unrealistic.
Yeah.
Okay, because I think that a lot of those are probably religious based. Okay, if I act this way and I do this and I do that, this is going to be the end result. Well, I have seen, so have you, and the listeners, that you can do this perfectly, and this will not turn out the way you thought. Life is unpredictable. Other people are unpredictable. And the only expectations that we can have really is of ourselves.
Amen.
Okay. I can expect to be or behave and treat others a certain way. Mm-hmm. Okay. Will they reciprocate? Not necessarily. But at least I am, I guess, at peace or okay with the fact that I have done my part. Whether my part is accepted or misunderstood or taken wrong, that is not my problem, because we're not here to really wrap our lives around the expectations of others. What was it? Was it Khalil Gibran that said, I'm not in this world to live up to your expectations. You're not in this world to live up to mine. You are you and I am I. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, it's true. It's true.
Is true. And that's a tough one for a lot of people to release, because fear is born out of ignorance. It's born out of,
I was going to say that, yeah.
What we don't know, we fear. And so the more we are open to learning and unlearning.
That's right. There it is.
There's a lot to unlearn that will unlock that openness in us. If we can look back and say, what if what I learned in my church or my synagogue or my mosque or wherever, or what if I learned from my parents and grandparents, what if they didn't have all the information? Or what if their information was for a particular outcome in a particular time in history that is not now? And I heard a really great metaphor this past week, that life is like a cigar.
Okay.
And I loved it because, and being a Cuban, I think you can probably relate to this.
Yes.
Life is like a cigar. So do you know what the ember that burns the tobacco, when you light the cigar, there's an ember.
Yes.
That's called the cherry of the cigar.
Okay.
And I like the dual metaphor there, because it's like the cherry on the sundae too. But it's the cherry of the cigar that is that fire of intention. Okay. Everything behind that ember is ash. That represents the past. Everything in front of the ember is fresh tobacco you're going to be smoking for a while, right?
Right.
And what I love about it is that it represents for me that the moment is not fixed. The moment is a transitory state between what has been and what will become. Right?
Okay,
And so
well, let me absorb that for just a moment.
Right. The
moment is not fixed.
Right. It's transitionary.
It is transition. It just, a moment is only a fraction of a second.
Fraction of a
before it moves. Not even that. Yeah. Before it moves to the next.
Now we're in a new one. Right. And so, but a lot of people get caught up in the moment. I know I used to. Saying this is all you've got, this moment, right? And we can imagine better in the next moment, which we should. I imagine in my proverbial cigar that there's a lot of cigar left to smoke. The ash is important. It doesn't carry the same weight as the unburned tobacco, right? But it's a reminder that it was here and that it was enjoyed, or maybe it wasn't enjoyed. I had somebody on my podcast recently, and we were talking about people who get burnt out in their work and in their life. And I said, that totally fits in with this cigar metaphor, because what happens when you put a cigar down and walk away and do something else and you come back, it's burnt out. But the gift of the cigar is that you can always reignite it. Right?
Okay. I mean, you are very on target right there. Although if you were to ask my grandfather about the Cuban cigar, he would not be that metaphoric.
Just rolled between the thighs.
Just rolling it and smoking it. That was
rolled between the thighs of Cuban beauties. My dad, we lived in Cuba, and my dad smoked cigars all the time. But it made me think of my dad too, and the struggles that he had in his life, right? You don't know how long that cigar is going to burn.
That is true.
That is true. Enjoy it. Yeah. And there's some people who don't finish the cigar. I mean, nobody's promised a tomorrow. So enjoy the smoking of the cigar. Recognize that the ash has value because it shows you what was there.
Right.
What you've come through, and find the enjoyment in it. The moment is your choice to take a drag on the cigar and puff and enjoy that smoke. Now, there may be other people around you not enjoying your smoke. They may be inhaling secondhand smoke or not like the smell of cigars, right? But it's for your own enjoyment. And that's you have the power to take a drag on your cigar or not. And that's the point, is that the power is all in your hands, and the enjoyment of the cycle of life and the unpredictability of life. You know how a cigar is made, and you know how sometimes it's not even. It's rolled up, but it's not, the tobacco leaves are not even, right? It's unpredictable how it's going to burn. You don't know how it's going to burn. All you know is that in order to burn it, you've got to be the one to drag on it, right?
Okay.
But it's not always going to burn in an even way, right? And then you just deal with that. You know how sometimes it'll just burn at the bottom, and then there's some unburned tobacco on the top, and you've got to burn it. You turn it to get the fire going up there. That's so much like life to me.
There needs to be a balance.
Cigars again.
Okay, I hear him. There needs to be a balance. And I think many of us, and I have to put myself in that category, because there have been times that I say, shit, I feel like I'm burning out. Well, the reason is because my life at that particular moment is out of balance. A person has to, and I've been told this by someone who is very close to me, that the balance has to be there. Enjoy life, work,
and
do
to have balance, you have to pay attention.
And
you have to pay attention. And it's like the cigar, when you put it down, you have to pay attention or it's going to burn out. Right.
And
Just like life,
that's
you can reignite it. Once you realize that you've burnt out, or if you're in a state of being burnt out, feeling burnt out, you can always reignite it. You can find a way to find that impulse and fire to reignite your life in a way that you will, the chances of your burning out are less because now you're paying attention.
Well, I am starting to pay attention. And if anything, being away from Facebook for a whole week, if anything, it has taught me that there is so much that is important. What I do, what you do, what we do is very important, but it's not everything.
And on that happy note, thank you for joining us on Unlearning. We will be back with another episode. If you would like to give us a suggestion of a topic you would like us to address, if you'd like to be a guest, join us.
Send us a message. Let us know that you're interested in joining us, and we will be happy to schedule you.
We'll see you next time. Bye, Estrella.
Bye-bye.